Well, what's up, everybody? It's Desdar 300 here, and I'm coming at you guys with a very late E3 thoughts and opinions video. I promised one of my subscribers that I would be making this video, and I am finally doing it. So, overall, I'm just going to talk about the big three: Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. And to be honest, I felt like Microsoft, starting with them, they completely stole the show this year. That's not to say that the other conferences did bad for the most part, but I feel like Microsoft had the most surprises, and a lot of that is because of the timed exclusives that they showed off. You know, they had something for everybody, and that's something I gotta applaud Microsoft for doing. You know, ever since I want to say last year, they've been repeatedly showing stuff that appeals to multiple demographics and not just their core audience. Some of the highlights for me was the reveal of the Frozen World in Kingdom Hearts 3. That was amazing. And it really showed that Microsoft is really doing their damnedest to expand the library of the Xbox, no matter where it's at, whether it be in the States or overseas. Another thing that stuck out to me was the Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition, and I thought that was a great callback since Vesperia, for those who don't know, actually debuted on the Xbox 360 before Sony paid Namco some money to put it on the PS3, sometime later. Another thing was Jump Force, and that game, I know some people have a problem with the look, but I think it looks pretty cool. It separates it from every other anime fighter out there. That was extremely hype. The Halo stuff. There was just something for everybody. And it felt like after that Kingdom Hearts reveal, it was just surprise after surprise after surprise. And that's overall what I look for in E3. I know some people like to base off of the exclusive, but to me, it's about the show. What can you show me to get me invested in your conference? And Microsoft nailed that this year. So, to me, Microsoft gets an A in my book. They did it really well. They showed a lot of great content. And yeah, I was honestly blown away. And I know that most of this year has been really slow for them. I think they're banking on that collection. I think it's the Halo one that they have coming out this year. But yeah, I think they did great. Now, Sony is where I start to have an issue. To me, I thought that the Sony conference was incredibly sloppy. They focused on Spider-Man, which it was good, but it just felt uncoordinated. They showed a bunch of filler games before the conference, which kind of screwed over the people that gave Sony their games in the first place. Like, they didn't even show Ni no Kuni 2, so that game completely went under the radar and has since fallen into obscurity, at least from what I can tell. They had that random guy play the banjo to tie into The Last of Us. Then they showed an extremely long gameplay trailer, which it was fine. Then they showed a samurai game. It was good, but I feel like they showed a bit too much of it, showing off the storyline, which doesn't really mean much to us because we don't really know these characters yet. There was like a scene where the samurai's companion betrays him and they fight, and I'm like, yeah, that's epic, but it has no actual weight to it. And, they showed Resident Evil, and that was nice. They showed a lot of great stuff. But to me, it didn't really match the Microsoft one because they actually had your boy, the Devil May Cry people, come out and wow us. So I'm like, well, this is nice, but it just feels a little thrown together. The highlight for me personally was the Kingdom Hearts 3 stuff, which was really cool. I wasn't expecting that, especially after Square Enix had a bit of a lackluster E3. So that was really cool. But overall, I feel like Sony could have been better if they were a bit more organized. And that's kind of been a thing with them. Because they show games that are way off, in the future, they end up having to backpedal and focus a lot on the games that they promised. When, like, for example, God of War, they promised God of War. So this E3, they had to talk about God of War a bit. They had to talk about Spider-Man. And while those games turned out to be pretty good, I feel like they really should stop announcing things way, that are not coming out anytime soon. So I give them a C minus. It was a little sloppy, and I couldn't tell what was going on half of the time. But some of the stuff did look pretty appealing. And I say this as a guy who owns a PlayStation 4, who's grown up with Sony consoles. I thought their conference was It was definitely the weakest of the three this year. Now we move on to the much contested Nintendo presentation. I've seen a whole lot of shit about this. People say a whole lot of shit about this. Excuse my French. To me, I thought it was pretty good. But then again, I'm a Smash Brothers fan. So that to me alone kind of won me over. But I feel like if you weren't really into Smash Brothers or Pokemon, this Direct probably underwhelmed you quite a bit. But so I'm a bit mixed on this. They kind of showed some stuff that was coming to the Nintendo Switch, Fortnite, Dragon Ball Fighters, more Octopath Traveler, a new IP. I forgot. It reminds me a lot of a Gundam game, but they showed off that new IP that they had. But there was no F-Zero, there was no Metroid, there was no Bayonetta 3, there was no Animal Crossing at the time. So I feel like I have to say it's mixed. But for me, I really did like it for what they showed. The Pokeball Plus was kind of It's cool that we have a way to get Mew, but I don't know about paying $50 just to get it. And on top of that, because they actually had a demo playthrough right afterwards, they couldn't show too much about it. But it was okay. But the meat and potatoes was the Smash Brothers stuff, and that blew me away. I haven't been this hyped for a Super Smash Brothers video in so long. The last time was honestly Brawl. But this, Sakurai came on, he did his thing, and that was enough to really make their entire Direct. I could go on and on and on about why Super Smash Bros. Ultimate feels and looks so incredible. But I'm sure you've already seen enough videos about that. But, just the fact that everybody's here. So many things that I wanted to happen in 4. People getting new Final Smashes. Veterans getting reworked. Fan-requested characters like Ridley and even Daisy and the Inkling finally appearing in the roster. This feels like a roster made for the fans. And that's really all I can say. And not even that does the game justice. So that was awesome. The Let's Go stuff was pretty cool when they showed the demo later. The stuff they showed in the Direct was kind of It was a little funky, but I can give it a pass. But ultimately, those are my thoughts on E3. I thought that the Nintendo Direct was okay, but Smash Brothers definitely made it. So to me, I guess it gets a B-. Sony gets a C for how messy and unorganized their E3 was yet again. And Microsoft to me gets an A. And I'm not a big Xbox guy. I've never owned an Xbox console. But to me, they just appealed to me more. There was just a lot of variety there. And I think that can't go unnoticed. So that's it for me. I'm going to go more into detail about Pokemon Let's Go and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate in some later videos. And I promise once November and December comes, I'm going to be picking up the pace. Sorry this took so long, but those are my thoughts. I thought E3 overall this year was a little mixed, but it was still pretty, pretty decent. Hopefully next year is going to be just as baller as it was in 2017 though. But that's it. That's Desdar 100, and I'll be out of here.